Madam Speaker, the unemployment rate is now at its lowest since 2001. That is, since the past 17 years. Moreover, it has been on a clear declining trend for the past 3 years. In fact, the unemployment rate fell to 6.9% in 2018 from 7.1% in 2017 and 7.3% in 2016. Due to the effective economic policies to spur growth, to create jobs and to improve employability, the number of persons employed in the economy has grown from 559,200 in 2014 to 573,100 in 2018. The increase in employment means that the growth potential of the economy is also expanding. As regards part A of the question, the youth unemployment rate stood at 25.1% in 2018. This includes young people who are enrolled in part-time courses at the Open University, tertiary institutions, and other training establishments, but who are still looking for a job. Moreover, statistics show that 88% of the unemployed youths do find a job within 1 year. It is also pertinent to note that 52% of the unemployed youths find employment in less than 5 months. According to these statistics, there is practically no long-term unemployment among our youths. In fact, in almost all countries around the world, the unemployment rate among young people is higher than the overall unemployment rate. Madam Speaker,
Better goes out and leave his phone out. Ask him to leave his phone when he comes in. Leave his phone outside.
Madam Speaker, in regard to part B of the question, it must be noted that the growth path of the economy has declined since 2009, with GDP growth reaching as low as 3.4% in 2013. However, for the past 3 years, including 2018, the growth rates have been higher at 3.8%. Moreover, Statistics Mauritius is forecasting a growth rate of 3.9% in 2019. The IMF is forecasting a growth rate of 3.9% for both 2019 and 2020, and 4% in the medium term. Moody's is of the view that government's proactive approach via a wide range of projects and measures will support GDP growth of around 4% in 2019 and 2020. It is clear that the growth rate is firmly on a rising trend. As regards part C of the question, FDI inflows for the year 2018 are estimated by the Bank of Mauritius at 17.4 billion rupees. It should be highlighted that in 2017, FDI inflows reached the highest level ever recorded, that is 21.2 billion rupees. These figures testify to the growing confidence of foreign investors in our economy. It should also be noted that the estimates for these three indicators, namely youth unemployment, GDP growth, and FDI for the first quarter of 2019 will be published by the end of June this year by Statistics Mauritius and the Bank of Mauritius.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The question, part A, was very specific to youth unemployment. And I've just checked in the latest report of Statistics Mauritius published in March of the last month, unemployment rate actually is the highest. Almost 50% of unemployed today are aged less than 24. There is 1%, there is also an increase in unemployment rate compared to last year. This is what the Statistics Mauritius is saying. So does he find normal that even as at today, there is 17,900 unemployed people of less than 25-year-old in this country?
Well, I have quoted from statistics. My figures, I don't know if you can table your statistics to the House, because I have been quoting from official figures of statistics. And I say again, 2018, the unemployment rate has been on the decrease. The figures that I have is, in fact, it is one of the lowest since 17 years. 6.9. 2018 is 6.9. I maintain that figure. But of course, I will double check on this. And with regard to unemployed youth, I have stated that the rate is 25.1%. And it is not something which is abnormal when we compare. Let us compare to previous years also. And let us compare to the years when also your party was in government. In 2004, the rate was 24.8%. In 2005, 26.1%. So it is roughly around that figure. But what is important is not the figure in itself what is important and revealing. It is how long does it take for a young person to be able to get employment. This is what is important. This is what I've just said. Most of them are employed within a period of 1 year. And in fact, when we say most of them, 88%. But then I do agree that there are a few cases where some of our youngsters are not able to get an employment within a period of 1 year. But the majority, bigger majority, are able to get an employment.
A copy of the Statistics Mauritius, where it's clearly stated at page 4, the youth unemployment rate increased from 24.9 to 25.2 in the third quarter of 2018 compared to the corresponding quarter 1 year earlier. It has increased. Anyway, the Honourable Prime Minister, I'm referring to the figures published, the latest figures published by the Bank of Mauritius, which is public. I don't know what figures you have. The published one on 18th of January 2019. Gross domestic investment flow for the first three quarters of 2017 and 2018. 2017, 15.5 billion. 2018, 11.5 billion. So according to the figures that are officially on the website of the Bank of Mauritius, and I will table that as well, there is actually a net decrease in foreign direct investment.
Madam Speaker, now I have heard clearly what the Honourable Member said with regard to youth unemployment. From one quarter to the other, he said 24.9 to 25.1. It has increased. My God, 24.9 to 25.1? Yes, it has increased. But I don't think you should make a big fuss about that. But as I say, we have been in government when you were not in government, but your party was in government. I don't want to repeat those figures again. Now, coming to FDI. Yes, from 2017 to 2018, it has decreased from 21,242 billion, which is a record for 2017. Never have we reached such a level of FDI. So, I don't think, I would wish that the coming years we do better. But if we don't do better, I don't think it is dramatic. But I don't want to compare again. We have been in government in 2005. What was the level of FDI? And what was the level of the FDI also previously by other governments?
Madam Speaker, can I ask the Prime Minister to give the exact figures and not to rely on deceptive statistics? The problem is we have an aging population and a shrinking workforce. And when we look at figures, there is an increase in unemployment rate amongst the youth, and this is the fact. Notwithstanding what Honorable Uteem has said with respect to decline in foreign direct.
Madam Speaker, I don't know whether do I have to, if English is not being understood properly, where do I have, may I ask permission to speak in other, maybe in Creole to explain myself? First of all, it is, let me say it is a shame, Honorable Boulel, for you to speak about deceptive statistics. You are attacking, the institution. You are attacking.
Honorable Boulel, this is the last time I am drawing your attention. From a sitting position, you cannot make remarks. You've asked a question, the Honorable Prime Minister has the right to answer, and you have to listen to his reply. Time is already over, but I have allowed you that question, and I allow a last question to the Honorable Uteem.
I have a question also on this.
Madam Speaker, first of all, on the point of order.
Then I won't be able to give an opinion.
Madam Speaker, on the point of order, the Honourable Member has to withdraw that what he just said, that I'm manipulating figures. This is imputing very, very serious bad motive on my part that I am manipulating figures.
Honourable Boulel, please withdraw that word. Kindly, so that we may finish with Prime Minister's question time. Please.
The Speaker stated that right from the outset, right from his mandate, government has been manipulating figures.
I'm not interested to know what you said right from the outset. What I'm interested to know is whether you are withdrawing that word manipulating or not. Please.
If Prime Minister feels aggrieved, I will withdraw.
Unreservedly. You're withdrawing.
No, if Prime Minister feels aggrieved, I withdraw.
You're withdrawing.
I don't want him to be asked.
Thank you. I was also replying to the question that was asked. And I repeat again, when I look at the figures, Madam Speaker, I have requested all the figures for all the years since 2004 up to date, because the only year when we started having statistics on youth unemployment is as from 2004. And the percentage has been roughly about the same all these years. So how can you criticize and say that, well, now it is the highest never, as if never before it hasn't been? I will put it in a because I've handwritten on this document. I will table the document that has been provided to me by statistics. And secondly, again, with regard to, you talked about FDI, the same question. Again, Madam Speaker, this is in 2017, we had record level of FDI. And okay,
yes,
so in
2000, you know better than the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Jugnauth. You want to reply in place of the Honourable Prime Minister?
Okay, true it is that the level it has decreased for 2018. But again, I mean, in previous government also it has varied depending on what has happened in a particular year and the other year. But what is important is that we should maintain a certain level that will in fact be a boost to economic development.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister concerning the forecast growth rate for this year, which government forecasts at 3.9%, MCB I think 3.8, others 3.7. My question is quite specific. In the light of the crisis in the tourism sector, 3 months of negative growth, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell us whether government is now going to downgrade the growth rate for this year? Because, as you know, tourism is nearly 24% of GDP. So if there's a crisis in tourism, it is bound, amongst other sectors, to affect the GDP growth rate.
Madam Speaker, if I say what is government's forecast, the Honourable Member, Leader of the Opposition, will say yes, this is biased because obviously as Minister of Finance, I want to maybe paint a very nice picture of the situation. Let me then again quote the IMF forecast. The IMF forecast. But you are talking about growth.
Now,
talking about one
Honourable
sector.
Leader of Opposition, you don't want the Honourable Prime Minister to reply. You don't want him to reply. He has the right to reply to your question.
You are talking about growth generally. So the IMF is forecasting a growth of 3.9% for both 2019 and 2020, and 4%, Madam Speaker, in the medium term. I will ask, well, I would not ask, I would invite the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to have a look at, I know he likes inviting, so I invite you to have a look, and we can have a perusal of that document together, of Moody's last report.